Stop fooling yourself. If someone can't stand you, you're going to notice it even if they don't tell you. You don't need them to confess it to see it. It's felt in the dry responses, in the evasive glances, in the silence that cools the conversation, in that laugh that never comes when you try to make a light comment. The body speaks before words, and if you keep ignoring these signals, you only end up humiliating yourself. The problem is not that someone doesn't want you around. The real problem is that you insist on staying where you are, no longer welcome. We were raised to believe that with patience, effort, and charm, we can win everyone over. That's a lie. Not everyone is going to accept you, and that's okay. What's not okay is to wear yourself out trying to force what doesn't depend on you. Stoicism teaches to let go of the desire to please. You're not in this life to convince anyone that you deserve their time or their laughter. If someone excludes you, doesn't laugh at your jokes, or avoids your gaze, it's not your job to change their perception. Your job is to withdraw calmly, protect your peace, and use that energy in places where you are valued. This is not a message of resentment or revenge. It's a reminder for you to open your eyes and accept reality. To continue begging for approval is to lose respect for yourself. Don't lower yourself to beg for smiles or justify indifference. Learn to recognize the signals and let go without drama. That's true self-control, and that's the Stoic path. 1. Read the signs that others silence. People rarely say out loud, "I don't like you." You won't hear it directly, but their body language and attitudes shout it daily. The curious thing is that many prefer to ignore it because accepting the truth is uncomfortable. They cling to an illusion. Maybe it's me who's exaggerating. Maybe he's busy. And so months, even years, go by trying to convince the other and themselves that there is no problem. This self-deception is unnecessary wear and tear. Think about this. When you walk into a room and notice someone looking down, crossing their arms, or responding with monosyllables, these are not isolated gestures. They are clues. The body reacts before the mind. The eyes avoid contact because there is no interest. The shoulders tense because your presence is uncomfortable. The responses become mechanical because there is no desire for connection. Life always leaves crumbs of truth for those who want to see them, but you need courage to read them without making excuses. Stoicism teaches not to waste energy on what does not depend on you. Recognizing the signs does not mean becoming an implacable judge, but accepting the facts. Not everyone will welcome you with open arms, and that does not define your worth. What does define you is your ability to notice those signs and decide that you will not insist where there is clearly no space for you. Protecting your energy is a conscious choice, not an impulsive reaction. Many suffer because they seek kind words where there is only coldness. They believe that if they do more favors, if they smile more, or if they are more understanding, the other will change. But it's not about doing more. It's about opening your eyes. Sometimes indifference is not a puzzle to decipher, but a direct message. They don't want your company. Understanding this in time can save you years of disappointments. Imagine you are in front of a door. You knock, call, wait, and no one opens. The noise of silence is already an answer. Insisting only wears out the knuckles and the heart. That's how relationships work when they don't want you close. No matter how much you knock, no one wants to let you in. Dignity is in stepping aside and looking for another door that does open. The key is to read the invisible, the prolonged silences, the laughter that fades when you speak, the way they change the subject or look at the clock while you tell them something. Do not ignore these signs. Don't take it as a personal insult. See it as valuable information to take care of your time and your mental peace. A Stoic does not beg for attention or seek to force sympathy. He observes, understands, and decides to withdraw when there is no reciprocity. Learning to read what is not said is an act of maturity, self-care, and self-respect. Whoever masters this art does not get lost in fantasies, does not get trapped in doubt, nor lives wondering why they are not accepted. They know how to recognize the silent message and act calmly. That is the first step to stop wearing yourself out in places that will never value you. 2. Do not excuse other people's disinterest. The most common mistake when someone shows disinterest is to justify it. It's almost instinctive to look for excuses to explain other people's cold behavior. They must have had a bad day. They're distracted. It's just their character. We cling to these explanations because they hurt less than accepting the truth. But each excuse is another blindfold over your eyes. And the more blindfolds you put on, the longer it takes you to see the obvious. They simply don't care about you as much as you think. When you justify other people's disinterest, you are placing yourself in a position of inferiority. You start to negotiate your dignity in order to maintain a bond that is already broken. It's like insisting on watering a dry plant thinking it will bloom. The water of your energy is wasted on barren soil. Stoicism teaches us to see things as they are, not as we would like them to be. Pretending that indifference is something else only prolongs suffering. Do not confuse empathy with self-deception. Being empathetic means understanding that each person has their own internal battles, but it does not imply tolerating a cold and constant treatment. We all have bad days, it's true. But when disinterest becomes a pattern, it's not fatigue or stress, it's a decision. Someone who doesn't value you leaves clues. They stop responding enthusiastically, ignore your messages, avoid including you in their plans. Change the subject when you talk about something important to you. These are not accidents, they are choices that reveal their lack of appreciation. The trap is in believing that if you endure a little longer, if you understand a little more, if you justify a little more, things will go back to how they were. They won't. By justifying, you give the power to the other person. It's like handing over the keys to your inner peace and hoping they will use them in your favor. What usually happens is the opposite. That person gets used to your infinite tolerance, and their disinterest grows because they already know that you won't set boundaries. Remember that accepting is not the same as resigning. Accepting is looking at the situation honestly. This person is no longer interested in me, and that's okay. I can't force them. Resigning is staying there, enduring crumbs of attention. Stoicism invites us to live in accordance with reality, and the reality is that you do not have control over other people's feelings. The only thing you can control is your reaction to them. Think of a foggy mirror. You can draw smiles on it, but as soon as it is cleaned, those marks will disappear because they were not part of the reflection. That's what the excuses you make for others are. Temporary illusions that fade as soon as the truth becomes clear. And the truth always becomes clear. When someone shows you disinterest, don't contradict them with words or desperate efforts to get their attention. Contradict them with your absence. Withdraw with serenity. That is the greatest sign of respect for yourself. You don't have to become a tormentor or a martyr, just someone who understands when to stop investing their energy. True self-control is not in enduring the unbearable, but in knowing when to step aside. A disciplined heart is one that knows who to open up to and who to close off to, without resentment, but also without allowing silent abuses. Do not excuse what hurts your dignity. Recognizing that the other person's disinterest is not your fault frees you from the burden of trying to save a relationship that the other person has already let fall. The Stoic does not look for culprits or dramatizers. They just observe, accept, and act. Because to continue making up excuses to justify other people's disinterest is to give your mental peace to someone who doesn't even want to receive it. 3. End conversations with cold responses. Nothing reveals more disinterest than a cold response. It's not necessary for someone to yell at you that they don't care. A simple uh-huh, an okay, or a dry yes, repeated over and over again, is enough to show that the conversation is a burden for that person. Most people notice it but cling to the illusion that maybe they're distracted, that perhaps it's just their way of being. No. The way someone responds to you says a lot more than you might think. If their words lack warmth consistently, that's the sign you need. The mistake is to keep insisting, to ask more, to look for new topics, to revive a conversation that was dead on arrival. This only enlarges the void, because someone who doesn't want to converse with you isn't waiting for the right topic. They're waiting for you to tire and shut up. The most sensible thing is to stop. A conversation can't be sustained with only one side pushing. Stoicism teaches to protect emotional energy, and nothing drains it as much as talking to someone who responds without interest. Don't confuse courtesy with obligation. You're not obliged to stay in a dialogue that wears you out, nor should you see it as a war of egos. It's simply recognizing that there's no reciprocity and that your time is too valuable to waste on an ice wall. Think of a river that flows and finds a huge rock blocking its path. It doesn't keep hitting the stone to make its way. It slides around and continues its course. That's what you should do when you encounter cold responses. Don't keep hitting the obstacle with words. Flow where the conversation is natural and reciprocal. Many people get hooked on the challenge of winning over someone who is distant. They believe that if they insist a little more, if they find the perfect comment or the right moment, they'll break the ice. But they don't understand that the ice isn't there by accident. It's there because the person wants to keep their distance. And if you insist, not only do you not melt the ice, you end up freezing yourself. Ending a conversation doesn't mean being rude or vengeful. It means learning not to force what doesn't come naturally. It's responding with the same brevity when you detect coldness. It's not out of spite, but for balance. If the other person doesn't open space for a genuine conversation, you don't have to fill it with unilateral effort. The key is to recognize the pattern. Short, evasive responses that don't return questions, that don't seek to know you or deepen the conversation. When you find yourself repeating questions just to keep the dialogue from dying, stop. You're not conversing, you're begging for attention. A Stoic doesn't beg. Remember, your worth doesn't depend on how many words you can get out of someone. It depends on your ability not to lose dignity in the face of disinterest. When you learn to end cold conversations, you regain time, energy, and calm. Life is full of people with whom dialogue flows like a river, where words build bridges instead of walls. But to find those people, you first have to stop hitting the rocks that don't want to move. Choose conversations that nourish you, not those that drain you. Because insisting on a one-sided dialogue is like shouting into an empty well. It only returns the echo of your own voice, and the echo neither embraces nor accompanies. 4. Don't seek connection in evasive glances. Eyes rarely lie. You can train yourself to control the tone of voice, the smile, and even the words. But the gaze always reveals what the heart tries to hide. When someone can't stand you, you notice it first in their eyes. They avoid yours. They look at the ground, to the side, at the phone, anywhere but at you. It's a silent rejection, but as clear as a slowly closing door. Many people ignore these signals because it's more comfortable to make up excuses. They tell themselves, he's shy, it's just his way, he's distracted. However, visual language is one of the most sincere. Eye contact is an invisible invitation to connect. When it's not there, it's because there's no interest in building a bridge. To keep seeking closeness in those evasive eyes is like trying to warm yourself with the extinguished bonfire. Stoicism reminds us that we must look at reality objectively, without embellishments or fantasies. Pretending that the coldness in the gaze means nothing is lying to oneself. An exhaustive analysis is not necessary. If the eyes shy away from the encounter, if every attempt to cross glances ends in evasion, there you already have an answer. Accepting it is not giving up, it's maturing. Think about it this way. When someone appreciates you, their gaze is direct, steady, without nervousness or escapes. It conveys openness. On the other hand, an evasive, repetitive, and constant gaze indicates that your presence is uncomfortable or irrelevant to the other person. And no matter how kind you are, you can't force anyone to look at you with interest or respect. The mistake is to insist on looking for signs of affection where there is only evasion. Some people try to earn that gaze, forcing smiles, asking questions, leaning towards the other in search of attention. But all effort is futile if the other party has already decided not to connect with you. It's like watering cement expecting a flower to grow. Don't seek validation in the eyes of someone who doesn't want to see you. The validation you seek must come from within. That's where Stoic discipline comes in. The value of your presence doesn't depend on how many times someone holds your gaze, but on your own ability to stand firm even if others avoid it. Learning to detect that evasion and act accordingly is a form of self-care. It means that you're not going to wait for others to change their perception of you. You withdraw calmly, without resentment, without dramatic explanations. That's an act of strength. Imagine you enter a room with dim light. If someone looks up to meet you, it's a sign of curiosity, of recognition. But if everyone avoids your gaze, it's not a lighting error. It's a reflection of their disinterest. Don't waste your time trying to turn on a light where they don't want to see you. A Stoic doesn't beg for eye contact, nor interprets evasion as a challenge to overcome. He observes the fact, accepts it, and decides who to look back at. He chooses to relate to those who return the gaze, not those who hide it. That choice frees you from begging for attention and allows you to invest your energy in authentic bonds. Never underestimate the power of a gaze. There lies the truth that many keep silent. Knowing how to recognize it and not insisting where you're not welcomed is one of the most liberating lessons you can learn. Because you don't need anyone's eyes to confirm your worth, but you do need the courage to step away from those who don't want to see you. 5. The absent laughter reveals distance. Few things betray a person's genuine interest as much as their laughter. Laughter is spontaneous. It arises effortlessly when there is connection and comfort. It cannot be faked for long. It either comes naturally or it does not appear at all. Therefore, when you notice that someone stops laughing at your jokes, barely sketches a forced smile, or their expression remains serious while others are having fun with you, do not take it lightly. The absence of laughter is a silent signal that something has changed. They no longer enjoy your presence, or they never did. Many prefer to justify it. Maybe they have no sense of humor. They are in a bad mood today. They didn't get the joke. But it is no coincidence that this lack of laughter repeats itself only with you. Laughter is an invisible bridge that connects people. When it disappears, the feeling of closeness is broken. And if it breaks, it's because the connection is no longer there. Ignoring this signal only prolongs self-deception and emotional wear and tear. Stoicism teaches us to look at the facts without embellishments. It is not about dramatizing or turning the lack of a laugh into a personal offense, but about recognizing what it means. Disinterest, emotional distance, barriers that you can no longer cross with sympathy. Laughter is not just a sound. It is the reflection of emotional openness. If it does not appear, it is because there is no openness towards you. Insisting on seeking a laughing reaction from someone who no longer wants to give it to you is a form of silent humiliation. You try to please with light comments, with humor, with witticisms, and you only receive a flat, almost impatient gesture. At that moment, you do not realize it, but with each failed attempt, you are taking away a bit of your dignity. You do not need to prove to anyone that you are funny or strive to elicit smiles from those who do not want to offer them. Think of laughter as a mirror. When someone laughs with you, it reflects that they enjoy your company, that they share an internal rhythm with you. When there is no laughter, the mirror is broken. You can make the same gestures, tell the same jokes, but the reflection no longer returns. Accepting it is difficult, but much wiser than insisting. The key is to learn to observe without taking everything as an attack. The lack of laughter does not mean that you are less valuable or less interesting. It only indicates that there is no connection with that person. The mistake is in wanting to force that connection, in becoming an involuntary jester seeking validation in other people's smiles. A Stoic understands that shared joy is not demanded, it is given naturally. If it does not arise, it is not forced. Knowing when to withdraw when laughter disappears is to protect your self-esteem and your emotional energy. It is not resentment, it is self-care. Imagine a fire that burns strongly because two people feed it with wood. If one stops contributing fuel, the fire inevitably goes out, no matter how much the other tries to keep it alive. The same happens with laughter. You cannot keep it lit by yourself. True respect for yourself is to stop seeking laughter where there is only silence. There are people who will find humor in your words without you making the slightest effort because the bond is authentic. Direct your attention towards them. The absent laughter is not a condemnation, it is a warning. It is telling you where it is no longer worth investing your energy. A Stoic listens to this warning and steps aside without guilt or resentment, understanding that it is not about them, but about the very nature of human relationships. Not every bond is destined to remain lit. 6. Move away from where your voice doesn't matter. There are places where your voice is just background noise, where you speak and no one listens, where every word you utter bounces off a wall of indifference. It's not that you don't speak enough or that you don't have something valuable to say. Simply, those people are not interested in listening to you. Staying there trying to be heard is like continuing to sing on an empty stage. Your voice wears out, but no one applauds. The mistake many make is to stay, convinced that with more patience they will achieve a change. They believe that if they explain their ideas better, if they raise their voice, or if they give in a little more, they will finally be taken into account. All they achieve is emotional wear and tear because the problem was never their message, but the wrong audience. Stoicism teaches to distinguish where it is worth investing energy and where to withdraw it without remorse. You are not obliged to convince those who have decided to ignore you. Dignity begins when you understand that your voice has value and that it does not deserve to be wasted on closed ears. Moving away from those places is not defeat, it's clarity. Think of it as an echo in an empty valley. You can shout with all your strength, but you will only hear your own voice back. That's what trying to dialogue with those who don't consider you feels like. What you need is not to shout louder, but to recognize that that valley will never return real answers. Many cling to spaces where their opinion doesn't weigh for fear of being alone or for the desire to belong. But belonging at the cost of your voice is too high a price. When you accept that you don't matter at certain tables, you start to look for those where your presence does have weight. This not only changes the environment, it changes your self-esteem. The problem with continuing to speak where you are not heard is that little by little you start to believe that your words are worthless. That is the most dangerous trap, allowing others' indifference to distort your perception of yourself. The truth is that your voice still has value, it's just misdirected. The key is to recognize the signs. They constantly interrupt you, ignore your proposals, react with silence or disdain, change the subject when you speak. You don't need them to tell you explicitly. Their actions already scream it. Don't insist. Every minute you invest, there is time you could dedicate to building relationships where your voice inspires, motivates, or generates respect. Moving away from those environments doesn't mean running away or giving up, but prioritizing your energy. Inner peace largely depends on knowing where to be silent and where to speak. A Stoic does not waste his voice trying to convince those who have decided not to listen. He prefers dignified silence to futile struggle. Remember that self-respect begins by recognizing your own value. If you stay in places where your voice doesn't matter, you end up losing more than words. You lose strength, confidence, and time. On the other hand, by stepping aside, you regain your voice and direct it towards those who are willing to receive it. True courage is not in resisting in the midst of disdain, but in standing up and leaving with your head held high. Life always offers new spaces where your voice can be heard. But first, you must free yourself from the places where you are just noise. Moving away from where you are not valued is the first step to start speaking with impact. 7. Protect your energy from the indifferent. There are people who don't hurt you with insults or shouts, but with something much quieter: indifference. It's an invisible wear and tear that accumulates little by little. You don't notice it at first, but every cold gesture, every prolonged silence, every glance that doesn't linger on you is stealing your energy. You end up exhausted, not because of what they told you, but because of everything they never said and yet weighed heavily. Protecting your energy is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Living in anticipation of others' approval or trying to please those who have already decided to ignore you is like carrying a backpack full of other people's stones. You drag it every day, and they're not even yours. Stoic philosophy teaches that true freedom begins when you decide which burdens to carry and which to leave on the way. Others' indifference should not define how you feel about yourself. However, many fall into the trap of trying to win the interest of those who have no intention of offering it. They change their behavior, their tone of voice, their gestures, all in order to get a minimal sign of attention. What they don't see is that this effort only drains their energy and never changes the result. The indifferent will continue to be so. The key is to stop fighting for spaces where you are not welcome. You don't have to convince anyone that you deserve their time or their gaze. Whoever values your presence doesn't need you to prove it. The indifference of others is not a challenge to overcome. It's a warning for you to withdraw. Think of your energy as a flame that keeps you alive and clear. Every time you expose yourself to someone who responds with coldness, who minimizes your words, or who deliberately ignores you, that flame loses strength. If you stay there, it will end up going out, not for lack of own light, but for insisting on illuminating spaces where they don't want to see you shine. Stoicism insists that we must take care of what depends on us, and your emotional energy depends on you. Learning to say "this far" without guilt or resentment is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. It's not selfishness, it's emotional survival. Many confuse protecting their energy with building walls and isolating themselves. But it's not about running away from everyone, but about carefully choosing who you allow to get close. Surround yourself with those who appreciate your effort and your presence, not those who turn you into a shadow. True strength is not in enduring disdain, but in not allowing disdain to become poison. When you decide to protect your energy, you start to notice that not everyone deserves your time, your listening, or your company. That discernment is what frees you from emotional fatigue and allows you to invest the best of you in those who do value it. The silence of the indifferent should not become a chain that extinguishes your spirit. Learn to withdraw, preserve your flame, direct your light towards spaces where it transforms into heat, not into ash. A stoic heart does not wear itself out, trying to revive what is already dead. It protects it, takes care of it, and offers it only to those who know how to keep it alive. 8. Let go of the need for approval. Few chains are as heavy as the desire to please everyone. It's an invisible prison that makes you act, speak, and even think based on what others expect of you. When you seek approval, you surrender your power. Every gesture, every word you receive as a sign of acceptance becomes a dose that calms your anxiety, but also makes you dependent. And when that approval doesn't come, you feel like you're falling apart. Wanting to be liked is not a human flaw, but making it your life's driving force is a sentence of exhaustion. Whoever lives behind the gaze of others becomes a slave to applause and a hostage to silence. This is where Stoicism comes in, teaching to separate what is within your control from what is not. The opinions, gestures, and judgments of others are beyond your control. What does depend on you is your reaction to them and your ability to stand firm in what you believe. Clinging to the approval of others keeps you in places where you are not valued, because you believe that if you try a little harder, they will finally recognize your worth. It's like knocking on a closed door, hoping the wood will yield out of compassion. It won't, The need for approval ties you to empty relationships, jobs that don't respect you, friendships that only use you as temporary company. Think about what you lose every time you mold your behavior to fit in. You sacrifice authenticity, silence your voice, betray your own boundaries, and all to earn smiles that mean nothing. How much longer are you going to keep paying with your essence the price of being accepted? The Stoic understands that true freedom begins when the opinion of others loses power over him. It's not about becoming arrogant or insensitive, but understanding that you don't need everyone's approval to have value. External approval is volatile. Today they give it to you, tomorrow they take it away. You can't build your peace on something so unstable. Freeing yourself from this need is above all an act of honesty with yourself. It means recognizing that your worth is not subject to how many applaud you, but to the consistency between what you think, what you say, and what you do. When you move from this consistency, approval ceases to be a prize you chase and becomes a natural consequence of your authenticity. But it is no longer a requirement. Imagine walking with a backpack full of stones, and each stone is an attempt to please, a fake smile, an opinion silenced to avoid discomfort, a yes said when you wanted to say no. With each step, the load becomes heavier. Letting go of the need for approval is, in essence, emptying that backpack. It not only lightens your walk, but also restores the upright posture you had lost due to the weight. Those who truly value you do not demand that you transform to be accepted. They welcome you with your lights and your shadows. Those who condition you to their approval are not company, they are chains. And the first act of self-care is to recognize that difference. Not needing approval doesn't mean isolating yourself or ceasing to care about others. It means that your internal compass becomes stronger than any applause or criticism. That is emotional maturity. That is freedom. A Stoic lives according to his principles, not the applause. And that firmness is what paradoxically ends up attracting the genuine respect of those who truly matter. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.